Hi everyone, and welcome to Achieve with Carolina Live. I'm Carolina Romaniuk, child and family sleep specialist and founder of Achieve with Carolina. So tonight we're going to be chatting about feedings. I know it's a really important topic. Hey Angelica, and hey Sarah. So feedings really are interesting when it comes to sleep. I get lots of questions that are asked, if I feed my little one a little bit more, maybe if I throw in some cereal, or if I do a whole circus act, they'll sleep better. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Talking about the myth of it, if it's true, if it's false, the reason why it might be true or it might be false. So let me know in the comments below, what have you tried to help your little one try to sleep better? Oi, what did I just do? Try to sleep a little better. Have you tried putting in cereal? Have you tried maybe making the nipple bigger on the bottle? Have you tried changing your own diet if you're breastfeeding, or if you are pumping and then putting it into a bottle? So let me know in the comments below while we're gonna get ready. Hey Karen! So let me just take a sip of water. And if you can do me a huge favor. I don't know why there's such a glare. Hold on, let me see if I could fix this. Maybe that might be better. I'll just look down. Okay, so if you guys can do me a huge favor right now, if you can just share this video, the button is right below, and that would help me tremendously, because I know this is a really hot topic and a lot of people might not be able to see this video. So if you can just share it right now, all you have to do is just click that share button right below. It would help me a lot, and it would help a lot of other parents that are dealing with the situation. So just please share it, like this video if you can like it too, so we can get a lot more people onto this thread. I know a lot of parents are awake at this time. That's why I do these videos at 10 o'clock, and then I try and hit the sack right away. So Karen, you're saying that you gave both your girls little cereal to make them fuller and sleep more through the night. So Karen, at what age did you start implementing it? Because that plays plays a role in it. So I'm gonna kind of get into that. But I wanted to show you something really cool. Let's see if this works. Hold on. I'm gonna try and flip this camera around. So let's see. I want to show you guys something really cool. I want to show you my view. Hold on. This is all my stuff going on here. Just turn the lights off. Okay. So that's my view at night. It's so relaxing, right? My little bamboo over there my husband put up. I don't know if you could see it, but it's so pretty. I just wanted to share this with you guys. Hold on. This back around to me. Oh yeah, I'm pitch black. Hold on, let me turn the lights on. But I thought it was really, it's just so, it's so beautiful. Okay, we're good? Okay, cool. So let's get started. I'm gonna put you back where you guys belong, right in front of me. Let me hook this up. Okay, let me sit back down in my fancy chair. And then let's get this party started. So I'm super excited about talking. Oh, I froze. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope I'm back. So I just wanted to show you guys my view, because at night it's stunning. During the day, it's not that bad. But at night it's just gorgeous. So tonight, what we're going to be talking about is feeding your baby right before they go to sleep. And do you feel as though they need to have maybe cereal or something else to kind of oomph and like amplify it? Now, I'm not really talking about toddlers. It's more around the, let's say like the 6 to 9 month olds. Younger than that, that's something completely different. So if you have a little one that's around that age, that's great. If they're older, I'll acknowledge that after we're talking about it. So I see we're getting a lot of people on. Thank you so much. Again, please, please, please share this video. It means the world to me, and I know it's going to mean the world to a lot of other parents that are having these same situations and they don't really know where to go from there. So by sharing this video right below, it will help them to see it and then be a part of our video chat tonight. So let's see how I can get, I don't know what's going on with this glare. Oh, okay, this is better if I move back. Okay, I'll just go like this so no, you don't see anything. Anyway, okay, so let's begin. Now I wanted to know from you guys, have you tried anything yourselves in stretching out the sleep for your little one? So have you tried putting cereal into their bottles or their formula? Have you tried to feed them a little more? Have you tried to, really push that feed as close as possible right before bedtime? Have you actually fed them at bedtime and then put them into the crib? What have you tried? Let me know in the comments below so we can kind of share it with everyone. And if you don't feel comfortable sharing it, you could always private message me on that. But let me know in the comments, what have you guys tried? And then we'll start chatting a little bit more about, the whole deal and what I wanted to talk about today. Esther says, fed at bedtime and increase by an ounce. Okay, cool. So also, I want to know how old your kids are. Hi, honey. How old are your kids? And has this worked? Did it help you? Okay, and then Karen, you said later that you increased by an ounce. Yeah, so you most likely increased because they were getting older, so you had to kind of increase that that amount to help them with that. So let's get on with the video for tonight, right? So the first things first is that this is a habit that starts to form at a really, really early age. So once we start to have kids, we try lots of things. Props we invest in, we start, looking in different ways to help our kids try and fall asleep. We start taking advice from a lot of people. And one of the most popular tidbits that I know parents get is if you increase the ounces, if you increase the feeding for your child right before they go to sleep, that they'll sleep better, right? Most cases, that's not true. It actually works more against you than it does for you. And I'm going to kind of go into that in tonight's video. So ideally what happens is when you feed your child right before bedtime, and I'm talking about, let's say around the 6-month mark, right? So around 4 months, we know that that is when the body starts to mature and sleep becomes more adult-like. Prior to that, they're really biologically immature to form any type of sleep patterns. So around the 4 to 6 month mark, guess what happens? Pediatricians usually give you the green light to start on solids, right? So if you start solids around that time, that's a huge milestone that happens in your child where it's a big growth development, and you get the green light to start solids as well. So do you think it's a coincidence that that happens, that your child is now mature enough and their sleep starts to change, and when that happens, they do get more hungry? So you are just kind of, allowing and helping that process along. But if you feed your child right before sleep, in most cases it doesn't work and it does backfire. I really haven't had one case that it helped, unless, big unless, the child is not receiving their caloric intake during the day, meaning that they're not eating very well during the day, and then they are genuinely hungry, so then you kind of have to do a top-off feed. But that nutrition take, when you add cereal to formula or breast milk, it's really empty calories. It's nothing that's nutritious for them, that they really need to be satiated for elongating night sleep. I haven't had any success within that. I don't really know I haven't really heard from other parents that it's pretty good. It's more as a superstition, and I find it heavy on the fact that it's a myth. So with that part as well, it's said that for a lot of children, especially that have reflux, if they are fed right before bedtime, that keeps their digestive system working. So they don't have time to just relax and let their body do its work, because it's always in an eating environment, right? Like, meaning like their body has to always keep producing and stay awake and alert because they're digesting. Plus you get more poopy diapers, you get more pee-pee diapers, and you're not getting, your child is starting to have fragmented sleep because of that. In addition, when you feed your child right before they go to sleep, that creates an association as well. So when they fall asleep, you know how by now I always mention that when your child closes their eyes, the first expectation that they have is when their eyes close, the first expectation they have when they wake up is what the last thing that they remember when they close their eyes. So if you're holding them, if you're rocking them, if you're feeding them, that's their last memory that they have. And that's their first expectation that they have when they wake up. So when they wake up, they're not fed. That is what they look for. Around 4 to 8 months, newborn up until 8 months, it's totally normal for that to happen, to have night feeds if the child needs it. By 9 months plus, there should be no reason in why your child is being fed at night. And if they are, it's mainly habitual. And also, if you genuinely feel that they are hungry, I would start to keep a strict diary of how much they're eating during the day. Because it might be that they are hungry if they're not eating during the day. And if they're having small nibbles, small spurts, they're not having, enough solids, then yeah, you're having little small meals, and then they're genuinely hungry at night. So what you would need to do is really make sure that you're increasing their caloric intake during the day and diminishing their feedings at night. But ideally, when you put in cereal for your child at night to help them sleep longer, it doesn't do anything. It's counterproductive. Most cases, it makes matters worse, especially if the child has reflux. So I wouldn't go with that. It's like one of those old wives' tales. I know my mom told me that. Feed with the cereal, it'll make them, sleep better. It's not true. If your child has the proper sleep foundation put into place, then giving them props, giving them empty calories, such as, cereal put into their formula, which they don't need because the formula is more than sufficient enough. That should be their main priority within eating up until the first year from the American Academy of Pediatrics. That's what they recommend. Of course, you need solids in addition to that when they get older, but their main nutritional intake should be either breast milk or formula. So that's the first thing that you should give them. And by adding cereal or anything else like that is just extra, and you really don't need it. Your main priority and what I want you to focus on, and this glare is really annoying me. I don't know what's going on, but I can't turn those lights off. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna go like this. Okay, I'm gonna talk right to you guys. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So if you want to feed your child at night, then there has to be a medical reason for it if they're past 9 months of age. If they're not, then they might be genuinely hungry. But I would want you to keep a diary of what is going on during the day, making sure that they are getting enough nutrition during the day on that part. And as far as nighttime, for you adding more cereal or increasing the ounces or whatever it is, it's mainly you're not getting down to the root of the reason why your child is waking up or why they're not sleeping well enough. That's really what's happening. And you want to focus on the sleep foundation, which is the sleep hygiene, making sure that their times are synchronized with their internal sleep clock. their biological rhythms, plus an age-appropriate schedule, and the environment should be in check as well, making sure that it's nice, healthy, and conducive to sleep, and looking into any type of associations that you might have, that your child might have in order to go to sleep. So feeding them right before bedtime can create an association. You might not notice it right now if they're little, but when they get older, if they're falling asleep on the bottle or if they're falling asleep on the breast, that is most likely what can happen, is that that's their last memory that they have when they go to sleep. So they're not falling asleep independently, they're falling asleep on something that's helping them go to sleep. Thanks guys for liking. If you do really like this video, please share it. It would help a lot. And I know that not just for me, but for a lot of parents, because there's only so much I can do through Facebook to try and promote these videos. I really depend on everyone else in my circle to share these videos on their own pages so we can get more views and help as many parents as possible, because that's really what I just truly want to do. So I hope and that's why I'm doing these videos. So to continue is that you want to make sure that you're getting the sleep hygiene correct, that you're eliminating any type of associations that your child has right before bedtime, and their environment is healthy and conducive to sleep. That's really important, those 3 factors that you really want to look into. And again, the cereal or feeding them right before or increasing the ounces or anything else like that, it's just extra stuff. If you have to increase the ounces, start noticing if your child is going through a growth spurt, and then you would have to increase the ounces during the day. Nighttime is a reflection of daytime. You can't just separate the times, they work cohesively. So if you're increasing ounces during the day right before bedtime, you have to do the same thing during the day. You don't want to fill up your child on food so their body will have to digest it all the time. I mean, just think of it yourself. If you go to sleep on a full belly, most of us can't sleep that way because it's just uncomfortable. We're digesting, and then you have to go to the bathroom and it's all this stuff going on. So imagine a child, that's what's going on with them too. And then you'll notice that you have to change more diapers at night, and they might be more crabby, they might be more gassy because of the food, and it's just not good. So I really will kind of want to try and stray away from that and not go into that myth with it. So that's really what I wanted to talk about tonight. So let me see what kind of questions you lovely peoples have. So I see that we're getting a couple. Okay, Yelena says, how much ounces is good amount for a 7-month-old? So Yelena, I would love to answer that question, but I'm not a feeding specialist. I can get back to you on that. I can ask a couple of my people that are on my team that do work on feeding and other components on that. So I'll get back to you on that answer. Okay. Esther says he is now 2.5, and I did this before he turned 1. It worked. Yeah. So for older kids, usually after maybe 1, sometimes it works because they just kind of latch onto it, and but by that time it's an association. So if you're feeding them throughout the night around 1-year-old, that's an association for sleep. So they won't be able to go to sleep unless they have that feed. If they are being fed before, meaning like right before bed, and you give them cereal or something like that, for older children it might help them, but I'm really talking about tonight more around the early infancy stage, like around 4 to 9 months old. That's when parents are really trying to elongate their children's sleep, because the 4-month regression hit where their children are now sleeping more in adult-like patterns, that they have sleep patterns that formed. So we're trying really intensely to elongate our children's sleep. So that's when all these new props start to come into play. But for older kids, it sometimes works. But for younger kids, I have never found it in any success. It's very rare that even someone might mention it to me that it helps. And if it does help, it's because their intake during the day is not as sufficient. Let's see. Hi Sigal, hi Audrey, thanks for joining. Marina, thanks for joining. Let's see who else has questions. Should I feed my 5-month-old at night when she wakes up if she has eaten enough during the day? So Marina, yes, I would feed your little one at night unless your pediatrician gave you the green light to stop feeding at night. Then what I would do is start increasing the caloric intake during the day. If you're bottle feeding, I would increase by ounces, maybe by ½ an ounce, a little bit at a time. If you're breastfeeding, just do it a little bit longer and go that route. Some kids around 5 months can start sleeping through the night, even as little as 4, even younger. But the feeding, yes, it's super important for them at night, but I don't want you to think that if you feed them, that's why they're sleeping longer. So there are many reasons in how to get a child, many factors in how to get a child to sleep through the night and sleep peacefully and beautifully and not have fragmented sleep. So one of the things that you would want to do is make sure that they have a proper schedule. Yes, the feeding does come into play if they're younger than 9 months. And I have found that, yeah, it's totally normal that you might have a day here or there where they do genuinely need a feeding. And that's normal to do that. So if you find, let's say for an example, your little one had stopped feeding, they're under 9 months of age, and then one day they're just screaming their head off, you don't know what's going on, it's completely out of the blue, I would go in the room, I would check in on what's going on, and then last resort, if anything, you can give them a bottle because they just might be going through a growth spurt and they might genuinely need it. So under 9 months, it's still totally normal to be fed, and it can just be something as simple as that to help them go back to sleep, and then they'll go back into their pattern if they have the proper sleep foundation put into place. Let's see who else has a question. Hope that answered your question, honey. Angelica says, super off topic, sorry, but I'm not going through any kind of sleep problems now. Oh, good for you. But I just wanted to know if there is any kind of a regression attachment issue between 2 to 3 years. Just asking due to others telling me their details and their situations. There's lots of changes that happen around that age. But if you're not dealing with it now, I don't know if your kids are that age. I don't think they're anywhere close to that. I wouldn't go bonkers on it yet. There are lots of changes, but you never know what can happen. Just like this whole 4-month sleep regression, parents go completely haywire. They read all about it. They try and, prep themselves for it, but then nothing happens. So every child is different. Don't start jumping the gun and thinking about the future if everything is good right now. So don't prep for it, don't get nervous, but yeah, things do change around 2 to 3 years old. School starts, now they're talking, so there's a lot of developmental pieces that go into play, and sleep does get a little bit affected on that. And at that point, they start going into toddler beds. So those are huge transitions that happen around 2 to 3 years old. And it's not necessarily a regression, it's more as a passage into leaving from infancy, toddlers, and now preschool, and then high school. Well, not high school right away, but it comes really quickly. So I can't believe my son is going into kindergarten, my youngest, and my oldest is going to 2nd grade. Oh my God. Yeah. So don't worry about it as of yet. Sigal has a question. Hey Natasha, thanks for joining. We're getting so many awesome viewers on. I want to just take a moment to say thank you for everyone that's jumping on at 10 o'clock at night and watching this video. If you can just please share it, just click that little button right below, click share, so we can let other people, you know, friends, family, colleagues, anyone that's on your pages that you know that is having similar situation with not sleeping, so they can be a part of this community in this video that we're doing right now. So it does help a lot. There's only so much I can do, and your help does tremendously help everyone else on that. Okay, so let's get back to the questions. Segal says, your 1.5-year-old falls asleep with a bottle lately. He's been pushing it away at bedtime, but he can't fall asleep any other way, so he cries and eventually ends up taking the bottle. How do I break the habit? Okay, so this is kind of what I was talking about. With older kids, past 9 months, it's an association that starts to form. Right? So now it's a habit. Now they're toddlers. They know what to expect. They know in order for me to go to sleep, A, B, C, and D has to happen. Oh, nope. A and D happen. I can't go to sleep. I gotta have B and C. What you doing? So then they want that bottle, or they want that hug. They want you to sit by them. They want another cup of water. I don't know, just like a bunch of stuff. Or in this case, in Segal, they want a bottle. So a couple of things that you can do. 1, cold turkey. 2, you can do decrease by ounces, but whatever you do, because it's easy to get rid of a bottle, right? Same thing as it's easy to get rid of a pacifier. But what happens when you don't give it to the child? That's when all hell breaks loose. And that's where we really need to put into place something healthy and positive for when they're going through that transition. You don't want to just yank it away and not explain anything to them, right? Maybe with your 1-year-old, well, they're kind of young at this time to have like a family meeting, but what you can do is have like a little, some cases you can do a rewards chart. I know I did a video on this before, but see how she will react to it. But mainly if you're getting rid of a bottle, you need to put into place a method that you're going to use that's going to help them go back to sleep. Because what's going to happen is once you get rid of that bottle, they're going to be screaming the entire time until you give it back to them. So you would really need to have a gradual process to be put into place in how you're going to help them go back to sleep. So either stay with them, maybe put like a chair by their crib and sit there and tell them, you know, mommy's right here, it's okay, you don't need the bottle, you can go to sleep, you're big now. Just kind of talk to them and calm them down. You can comfort them, do a couple of breathing techniques with them, kind of like, you know, pat them a little, and just stay there with them. You don't want to leave the room and just not give them a bottle if that's what they're used to. So you can kind of move in a gradual aspect with that. And if anything, if that's not, if you're not really seeing results on that, then what I would want you to do is at least contact me. You can private message me and we will kind of go from there. But at least that's like a starting point for you right now. Let's see. Leranit. I love that. So I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. You said your son will be 5 months next week. I feed him right before bed. Do I need to stop? No, I wouldn't stop with feeding a 5-month-old right before bed. But, big but, what I would do is put a wedge in between the feeding and sleeping. What I mean by that, not a physical wedge, what I mean by that is make sure that make sure that he is a little bit drowsy but awake when he falls asleep. So you don't want him falling asleep on the bottle or on the breast, however you're feeding him, because that's his last memory that he has when he falls asleep, right? So we want to make sure that when our children are falling asleep, that they're falling asleep independently and that they're aware of their surroundings, because when they have that sleep cycle transition that happens at night, which is usually like every 90 minutes, like 120, 160 minutes or so. But during the day, it's shorter. When they have it during at night, we all wake up. Even adults have the transitions. And when we wake up, we look around, make sure that our surroundings and our environment is the same way that it was when we left it, when we closed our eyes to go to sleep. But if a child is falling asleep on in the arms, in a stroller, in a pack and play, in a rock and play, in a swing, on the breast, on a bottle, whatnot, besides themselves in the crib, That's what they remember. So then when they wake up from that sleep cycle transition, they're like, what the F? How did I get here? Why am I not in that same position that I was when I went to go to sleep? And that's when the crying happens, that's when the tantrums start to happen, and like all that hoopla. So we really want to eliminate that. So when you're putting your little one down, make sure that they're not falling asleep on the breast or the bottle. Cool? But you can feed them right before. Yana has a question. You got lucky that your daughter really loved to sleep when she was an infant, so at 3 months she would rarely wake up for a bottle. Awesome. I love this. Hi Maria. Hi Yana. Hi Sonia. Oh, we're having such an awesome turnout. Oh, your son is 2.5. Okay, so you said I'm thinking about the future more than I should about my little 2.5-year-old. Why do I have a feeling you're thinking about the wedding? Or a wedding already? Let's see who else has questions. Marina. So your 4.5-month-old sometimes wakes up every 60 to 90 minutes at night. That's a 1 sleep cycle transition, and can fall back asleep right away if you give her the passy or hold her hand. But at 4 a.m. she's fully awake and not really hungry. She usually goes to bed around 8 p.m. How do I fix this? Okay, so your little, first of all, congratulations. And every 60 to 90 minutes at night is approximately like 1 sleep cycle, right? So we have several of those at night, and when you have to give her back the pacifier or hold her hand, that is breaking the cycle. So what I would want to do is put something together in a gradual manner for her to go from 1 sleep cycle into the next and just transition nicely into it. So what you can do is before she actually you give her the pacifier or you hold her hand, you can listen to her and wait. If she starts crying, not whining, not fussing, crying, then you can use a method. If she starts whining or she's fussing, I would just listen and not rush right in. Because when we go through a sleep cycle transition, what happens is that there's usually 15-20 minutes or so that takes for us to go from 1 cycle to the next. There's a very light stage of sleep. All children, all adults wake up during that time frame. For adults, what we do is, and you won't notice, is maybe you'd move the pillow, or maybe you'd move your blanket, or maybe you'd cough, I don't know, something. But you would do something just to, because you would wake up. For children, what they would do is some would sit up, some would cry, some would belt out a loud like yell, some would roll over, some would, I've had headbangers, what else have I had? They would stand, and then once that time frame passes by, they go back to sleep. But if there's an intervention and someone goes in straight when they're going during that cycle transition and they're just whining or they're fussing or any type of sound that I was telling you, that breaks the cycle, and then it takes them a lot longer to go back to sleep. So what I would do is listen and pay attention to how your child, what she's doing. So if she's crying, then you would come up with a method that you feel comfortable using at night, and that is modeling her behavior as well. If she's whining or if she's fussing, don't go in, leave it alone, just listen, because she can surprise you and go back to sleep easily that way. But if you're intervening with it, then you're kind of breaking the process on that. As far as the 4 a.m. waking, anywhere between 4 and 5 o'clock, 5:30, is a light stage of sleep that we're in. So we're our body's getting prepared to waking up for the morning, right? So now in New York, it gets really light around 4 in the morning. And if you don't have blackout curtains, this light can just protrude into the room, and some children are super sensitive with that, and they would just wake up easily. So I would make sure that it's nice and dark in the room if she's waking up at 4 a.m. and make sure the environment is nice and healthy and conducive to sleep on that part. So that's those are the kind of key pointers that I would kind of want you to look into, Marina. And if anything, you could always private message me. Natasha, what is the harm in keeping the bottle at night? Can you give me a little bit more details in what you mean by that, and how old is the child? So do you mean by leaving the bottle in the crib? Do you mean by continuing on feeding them at night when they're past a certain age? Again, what I was mentioning is if a child is being fed past 9 months of age, there is harm for them regarding sleep, meaning that there's a creation of fragmented sleep then. Because by 9 months, children should be ideally sleeping through the night without any fragmented sleep, and it should be consolidated. If they are waking up to feed, that means that they are waking up, that means their sleep is being broken up, that means your sleep is being broken up, and that means that they're gaining sleep deprivation. So, and that is because of a bottle. So we don't want that to happen. We want to make sure that our children are getting the proper sleep nutrition and they are sleeping through the night beautifully. Unless if they are being fed past 9 months, then there should be a medical reason for it. If there isn't, then it's just habitual. That's all that it is. And what I get from lots of parents is, oh, it's no biggie, it's 1 bottle, maybe 2. I just give it to them, they go back to sleep. No. If you are getting up to give the bottle to your little one and they are waking up to eat, there's no such thing as dream feeding at this age. Dream feeding is only for infants, for newborns. Past that time frame, past 4 months, it's not dream feeding anymore. It's a feed. That's what it is, because they're awake. They're not sleeping anymore. And when you're feeding your child at night and they don't need it, then you're just creating fragmented sleep. So I don't want you thinking as though, oh, no biggie, it's just 1 bottle, I could handle it. Yeah, you can handle it, you can function, but you're an adult. A child needs their sleep more than you even know. And that's where we really need to kind of, stand our ground and make sure that our children are getting the best sleep nutrition, and that they are not getting fragmented sleep, because then if they are, you are getting it too, and you're not at your fullest, they are not at their fullest. So that's why we don't want to have a bottle at night. So I hope that answered your question. Laranit says he eats burps and I put him down in the crib and then falls asleep on his own. Yeah, totally cool. So a burp can be a wedge, because usually with burps, kids kind of wake up a little bit and then they go back to sleep. So then that's fine. Awesome job. I wouldn't change anything. Let's see. Marina, what about giving a few ounces of baby tea or water at night? Someone told me that it helps them not wake up at night because they know they won't get any milk. I don't believe in that, because you are switching from one liquid to another, and it does the same thing. So bottom line is if you want your children to sleep through the night, you don't look for props. And giving them milk, giving them water, giving them hugs or anything else like that are props. And that's not helping them have consolidated sleep. So if your child needs these things, then we would really need to put a plan into place in how they can sleep beautifully, independently, but with your guidance as well. And giving them, like milk and water or anything else like that, those are just extras that they don't need. And if you're switching one liquid to another, it's still liquid, no matter how you put it, and their body's going to digest it the same way. So I wouldn't do it. Okay, let's see. Danielle and Miriam. I wonder who I'm talking to. Your 2-year-old wakes up and asks for water, and this can happen at any time of the night, and she'll cry till we give in. This interrupts her sleep for sure. She becomes angry and fussy and doesn't like to wake up in the morning. Also, when do you recommend transitioning her to a toddler bed? Okay, so transitioning to a toddler bed, I did a video on this like a couple of weeks ago, but ideally it would be anywhere between 3 and 4 years old. If you do it for a 2-year-old, they have to be mature enough that they understand that there are rules put into place in order for this transition to happen, because this means that they're graduating from crib to toddler bed, which is huge, so you shouldn't take that lightly. So I would go back and find that video, so then you can kind of, you know, prep yourself for that if you are thinking that they need to that she needs to transition. As far as you said that she asked for water at night, I would cut that, because once you start potty training, that is going to disrupt you heavily, because then you're going to have a lot of night wakings, and she probably has a lot of wet diapers also, because she's asking for water. So if you want to give her water, you can leave it, you know, either in the crib for her, and then just have her, you know, go by that way, because what she's most likely asking for is not for water, but for comfort, for one of you to come into the room. That's really what it is. So if she does want the water, you can, I've had parents just leave it in the crib, but the kids never take it because they have the water there. Most cases, the reason why they're asking for it is just because they want reassurance that you know, mommy and daddy are right near them and that they're by. So I would just look a little deeper into that and why she needs the water, because there's usually not just because she's thirsty or anything else like that. Let's see what else. Angelica, is a sleep cycle always 60 to 90 minutes, or can it range? What can be the longest time frame that a cycle can be going on for a 2.5-year-old? Yeah, so it's not an average 60 to 90 minutes. The longest is usually like around 160, if anything like that. That's one sleep cycle. Some kids can sleep through, you know, 2 or 3 cycles and then they'll wake up, but that also depends on how many naps that they're taking during the day. So if a child is waking up between sleep cycle transitions and they're waking up literally after every cycle transition, that means that something's going on with their daytime sleep as well. So I would want to look into that, Angelica, and see what's going on that part. As far as if they're waking up, let's say, every several cycles, it's not like after every one, then you have a moderately okay nap time. Maybe bedtime is okay, but I would need to still look into something is off on the schedule, and that's really where night wakings come into play. So night wakings happen for several reasons. I'll kind of do a recap on that. They happen if their associations are formed, right? So if your child needs to be fed, if they need to be rocked, if they need to be held, if they need to be like in a stroller, things like that, to be carried on, like on the chest, those are associations. Or nap time sucks, or it is not on the proper times. And the third reason is bedtime can be too late. So those are really the 3 main factors. There are other reasons, but those are like the 3 main ones that you would really want to look into for that. So if your little one if your big one is having wake-ups between every several cycles, that's what you would want to look into, is the schedule. Same as if it's every cycle, the same thing. So that's the schedule you would want to go and look into. Let's see, who else? Natasha. For older baby, 16 months, I mean before his bedtime, not getting up at night, at what age should bottle feeding at bedtime stop? Since at 9 months. So if you're, Natasha, if you are feeding your 16-month-old at night, there should be a medical reason in why they need a feed, meaning that they are not gaining substantial amount of weight during the day, which I don't think is your case, because at that point, at 16 months, it's purely habit. and I would start to put a plan into place in how to wean away from these bottle feeds at night. So again, getting rid of the bottles are super duper easy, right? You just take it away, right? But that's not where the problem lies. The problem lies with the behavior, because they know that in order for me to go to sleep, I need this. Once I get it, I can go to sleep. So once you create some sort of a change in the process of how your little one goes to sleep, there's protest that follows it. And protesting is in the form of crying. Unless you have a toddler that can talk, then they'll let you know what they think of it. But ideally, what you really want to do is put a plan into place in how you will help them go back to sleep once that bottle is taken out of the equation, okay? So if anyone does have questions on how to do that, I would really want to chat with you more one-on-one. I can private message you afterwards, or you can PM me, and every case is different. So I would want to know a little bit more about what's going on with you, and then we can kind of put something together and help you get that solution put into place. Hey Diana, thanks for joining. Let's see. You have, oh, Angelica, you have a couple more questions. Okay, PM me. So I guess that's it for this evening. Does anyone have any more questions? Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for liking. It really means a lot to me. And, you know, if you are watching the replay, feel free to comment. Feel free to share this video too. And I'm going to see you guys on Monday. If you have any specific questions that you really want me to answer, and it's kind of been like really, really pressing at you, and I haven't gotten to that topic as of yet, because yeah, we've done, today is 103 videos that we have accomplished together. So I wanted to thank each and every one of you for participating in these videos, for asking your questions, for liking the videos, for sharing it. It really does mean a lot. And I get notifications up the wazoo every day on how much these videos are helping parents. So that really warms my heart, and I know that I'm giving back to the community just by doing this. So that is what really pushes me and what drives me to do these videos for all of you. So the more that you can share these videos, the more we can help as many parents out, because Facebook is only allowing me to do so much by myself. So share this video. All you have to do literally is just click that share button right below, and then it goes onto your page, and then everybody else can listen on to these topics and be part of our community, and you know, we can help as many parents that are not sleeping to sleep. So last question, Audrey asks, is taking your 10-week-old to the beach for a week. She usually wakes up every 2 hours to nurse at night. The past 2 nights she has slept for 5 to 6 straight. Wow, awesome. She sleeps in a DockATot in the bassinet next to my bed. For traveling, should I put her in the bed with me in a DockATot, use a rock and play, would be sleeping slightly inclined, or should I bring the pack and play as a crib with the DockATot in it? Okay, Audrey, this is a doozy. First of all, congrats. Welcome to mamahood. I'll give you a big hug. Woo! Okay, and the AAP, the American Academy of Pediatrics, recommends heavily for nothing to be in the crib with the child, including a bassinet, or with the parents. So this DockATot, I know has lots of positive reviews and stuff like that, but for the first several months, we really don't want anything put in a bassinet, put with you, or in a crib. We really need to have safety measures put into place. So by having all of these extra stuff is not needed, and it can be dangerous for your little one. So if they're in a bassinet, leave them in the bassinet alone. If they're in the crib, let them be in the crib. I wouldn't recommend bed sharing, especially with the AAP having their SID guidelines stating that it's not that safe to do that. But if you feel as though that is something that you truly, truly want and your environment is completely safe, then that's okay. Meaning that there are no pillows floating around, that there are no comforters floating around or anything like that. Keeping the area safe and secure for your little one if you are going to be bed sharing, because safety is super, super, super duper important for infants. And you know, if they're going to be sleeping by the bassinet, in the bassinet or in the crib, what you can do to make it a little smaller is move your little one towards the edge so their feet are kind of touching, like here's, let's say the bassinet, and here are their feet. So that actually minimizes the space because it gives the illusion that it's smaller. So you can try that and not use, you know, the DockATot for those reasons, because you don't want to put anything into a bassinet or into a crib. And if you do have any questions, feel free to PM me. I'm always here. So I guess that's it. Sweet dreams, everyone. I love you, and you know, stay on your game and keep going for your goals. And I'm always going to be here to help you out. Love you. Sweet dreams. See you on Monday. Bye.